Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Within every single category here in Warzone right now, whether it be pistols, snipers, LMGs, rifles, you name it, there is at least seemingly one decent option. And so today I wanted to go through each individual weapon category and break down the best weapon from said category and then the best loadout for that best weapon. There are quite a few unique builds here today. I want to start first with the secondary slash the pistols here. Obviously, we're not going through the categories that don't have customizable loadouts, but the pistols slash the specials kind of falling into one category here. If you're using gunfighter or if you're not using overkill, this is where you have the option to use these. And really, the Sierra 9mm here is the go-to choice. We've got some solid pistols like the Renetti with the conversion kit, not bad at all. The Gurkova is pretty good. It's like a pocket SMG, but the Sierra 9mm, basically the same style of weapon as those, even though it classifies as a special, has a bit of a better range than those and a similar TTK. So this is what sort of stands out to me the most in this specific area here. And the setup is maybe the most straightforward in the entire game because the setup you're using is basically the only attachments they give you as you level it up. So for the optic, you have two iron sight builds, and I guess one iron sight build, one carry handle sight. I like the iron sight here personally. The suppressor is the only muzzle you get, so that's straightforward. The long barrel is the only barrel you get, so that's straightforward. There are 200 barrels. I know, crazy stuff. One's for vertical, and then one is lightweight. This is going to help out with more movement, speed, and sprint to fire. Vertical is going to help out with more control, but still a little bit of movement as well, so I personally opt for that. Then extended mag 1. Obviously, you're going to want to go for that for all squad sizes. 40 rounds on this fire rate is going to work fine there. Decently competitive pistol. Most of the pistols in the game are not going to be anything outrageously good, right? You're still going to want to take an SMG over most of them or a shotgun over most of them for the close range. But if you're looking to choose one, the Siren is where I would lean. Now for the snipers, again, this is a pretty competitive category, all things considered, as are quite a few of the individual categories we're breaking down here today. You've got some fantastic options here. If you want that infinite one shot with something like a Cat AMR or even a Mors, if you want something more aggressive like a Frostline, there are some really good choices. I think the most well-rounded sniper though ultimately is the LR762. It's got a decently quick ADS considering the fact that it's got a very generous one-shot headshot range, just over 80 meters with this setup on here. Good bullet velocity, so the bullet drop, the bullet lead, that hit scan range is going to be phenomenal as well here. So personally, I go for these suppressors straight up. Just simply keeps me off the radar. You don't really need control on a sniper, especially a bolt action one, so just give yourself that stealth element with the suppressor. You're good to go there. Long barrel, the most important part of the setup, extending out that one-shot headshot range to 85 meters, almost 86 meters. That's going to be fantastic whether you're playing big map or resurgence here, so that's a great choice, of course. Fast mag 2 here, you only lose one bullet per mag, but your ADS is actually increased quite a bit there alongside your sprint to fire, which isn't a huge deal, but your mobility in general is going to be better with this on for one bullet in exchange. That's a really good trade-off in my opinion. Makes the setup a lot more aggressive, as does quick draw rear grip. With this and fast mag 2 on there, you have a 511 ADS, which really is not bad at all considering this is a heavy sniper, all things considered, right? And then lastly, overpressured ammo here, just extending out that velocity up over 1,000 there. So like I said, the hit scan range is going to be fantastic. You don't really have to worry too much about bullet drop and bullet lead, especially within that one-shot headshot range. So yeah, this is just a really well-rounded sniper, easily the most reliable in my opinion. Now for the marksmans, again, really tough call for what the definitive best option here is. Something like the DM10 is really good. The full auto AEK is not bad at all. I still lean the car though in this case. Another sniper-like build here. One-shot headshot out to, again, a pretty generous range considering how aggressive this is. If you are an aggressive sniper, you like the quick scope sort of play style, you want to run around but still have that one-shot capability, the car is the weapon for you. Insanely fast ADS, great mobility, and it can one-shot out to a decent distance as well. So for that one-shot range, we focus on 3 attachments: our muzzle, barrel, and our ammo. So speared fire suppressor, much like every other suppressor, is going to extend out our range and our velocity, 2 key components of a sniper-like setup. The 7.62 long barrel extending out that range and that velocity. Then high grain ammo extends out range and velocity as well, so we end up with a 67 meter one-shot headshot range, pretty good all things considered, and we have a 904 velocity at the same time, which will be sufficient for that one-shot headshot range as well. I do go for the range color optic. This is really a matter of preference for your scope here. If there's a different scope you really enjoy the look of, go ahead, run that. If you are super accurate with something else that you like the reticle of or the customization of, always go for comfortability here. Then lastly, just for the most aggressiveness possible, we're going for no stock. Better ADS, better general movement speed, better strafe speed, just makes the weapon a whole lot more aggressive. 377 ADS speed is fantastic given the fact that we can also one-shot a player to almost 70 meters in distance. distance, right? So super versatile and aggressive sniper setup here. I really think this is the true standout from the marksman category. And by the way, as we are going through all the weapons and setups here today, if you enjoy the video, you find the information helpful, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. And if you happen to be new to the channel, you want to guarantee that on a daily basis, you are always in the know for everything going on in COD, whether it's news, updates, meta breakdowns like this. This is the one-stop shop for all of that. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. Next up here in the LMGs, I gotta go with the XMG. This thing is a low recoil, reliable LMG. Obviously, at the end of the day, all of these options are going to feel a little bit slow and clunky because they're LMGs, of course. The XMG in specific just has a really competitive TTK throughout, pretty good range. And even though it is an LMG, it's not the slowest or the clunkiest or the heaviest feeling option here. It really just feels like the XM4 if you were running around maybe with some cinder blocks in your back pockets, right? But it's definitely not too bad, all things considered. For the optic, again, it's really a matter of preference. I like the Jason Armory 2 times, a Willis 3 times, and a Turo red dot. Like there are so many good scopes and optics right now. Again, largely preference at the end of the day. I go for the basic suppressor here. This is a gunfighter setup, so I don't feel like I need to go even more in on control and staying off the radar. Always a nice thing, of course. Reinforced barrels, some range and some velocity, so we get a 924 velocity, sufficient for sure, and then nearly a 60-meter effective damage range, which is fantastic as well. Vertical foregrip gives us the max horizontal control, so the weapon's just going to be a whole lot more predictable there. Fast mag 1, you still get 75 rounds with this, and that is going to be totally fine given this fire rate, and your reload's not going to be nearly as slow as it is without it. Like LMGs, one of the biggest drawbacks is that you got to stop and take 2 minutes to reload. You just don't got time for that with how Warzone plays these days. So the quicker the reload, the better. Fast mag 1 will help out with that. I also go for the quick draw rear grip here, just straight up better ADS speed. Nice to have as a bonus of gunfighter on here because let's be honest, it's an LMG. It's not the fastest. 375, like the car almost has the same stats there, which is pretty crazy. Buffer weight stock, it's been nerfed since it was first introduced, but it's still a very good option just for making the weapon incredibly easy to use with the recoil control that it offers. Plus you stack recoil springs on there, and between this buffer weight and the vertical foregrip, this is going to be a laser beam and an extremely easy to use weapon when it comes down to it. Like there are a few weapons that'll be easier than this in terms of recoil control. Now for the shotguns, admittedly, this entire weapon category is a little bit underwhelming. I mean, there's been good shotguns on and off, and we've changed up this selection as we've covered this style of video throughout the years so far, but ultimately shotguns just don't really thrive in Warzone right now. They really haven't much this year with the one-off selections here and there, but if you're looking for one, I'd probably go the MX Guardian. This is one that Gumi, the shotgun guru, has talked about quite a bit, you know, recently. There's some other decent choices, like you can get by with using a few other options, but at the end of the day, this one's going to be a great tack stance option, and for the close range, one of the more dependable ones that's not going to be nearly as much of a coin flip as some other choices. So like I said, tack stance is our main focus here. I do use the Schwain DX muzzle here, so this is going to keep us off the radar but also extend out the damage range a little bit, so a suppressor that's also got some range built in, nice to have there. The HYP LM barrel also extending out our damage range, some that's really the main takeaway from that. Obviously the further out we can have a better TTK, the better for a weapon like this that's so condensed to the close range. Jack Slash is going to be huge here for the better control, but also some better movement speed, so just makes the weapon a tad bit more aggressive here. I like the Stream SK rear grip as well. Going to help out with our ADS and our Sprintifire. Huge stats for shotguns. And then most importantly, in my opinion, the Kimura laser sight. Like I said, I opt for a tack stance build with this, so you're already going to have a really good ADS and a Sprintifire when you're in that you know, sort of animation. This is going to help out with that tack stance spread, but then also the Sprintifire and the ADS even more, so really playing into what we're trying to get out of the setup. Obviously the laser shows up, but if you're playing in the close range with a shotgun, there's not much stealth going on, despite the fact that we're using a suppressor that's mainly to hide the red dot, of course. The enemies are going to know you're there because you're going to be up in their face spraying them with a shotgun, and they're probably not going to be too happy about it. Now for the SMGs, again, a really difficult decision here because there are so many good subs right now. You have some options from the older games, like the Lockman sub, pretty solid there. You know, you've got the current BO6 options. The KSV is fantastic. The PPSH is really good. I still think the most well-rounded and reliable choice, though, is going to be the C9. This thing's just doing it all well. It's got great mobility, really good control, decent range, a fast TTK. It's just simply checking every box that it needs to in order to be ultra competitive, right? Here I do go for the compensator, straight up better vertical control, just makes the weapon a lot more predictable and easy to use. Long barrel extends out our damage range. We're up over 15 meters, really solid for an SMG. The 540 velo that it has by default will be sufficient in all types of fights you're getting into with a C9 realistically. Ranger foregrip here, it's not the most difficult weapon to use. Like, you don't really need vertical. If you really want max control, you could go for it, but I also like that we're getting decent control horizontally from this. Then also some sprinting movement speed too, so we're more aggressive and the gun's easier to use. Extended to 50 rounder, no brainer, that's the max option, that'll work fine. Then I really like ergonomic rear grip personally. I do so much sliding in my close range fights, so slide to fire benefits are huge, ADS benefits are huge as well. C9 build hasn't really changed much, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now for the battle rifles, this obviously is a category that completely excludes Black Ops 6 guns, which is interesting. So it's only MW2 and MW3, and I gotta go the SOA Subverter here. Even just without this being a category specific weapon focus, the Subverter is a very competitive option. It's got a really good TTK because of some of the updates they did to the MW2 and MW3 guns. It's decently easy to use, or easier to use than it was at the start of the year. It's reliable if you're looking to switch things up and play with something you maybe haven't in some time. There's a few different ways you could build this out. The 50 round extended mag gonna be a mainstay on all your setups here. Any vertical grip will be fine because they're all doing the same thing for your control and your stability. So I went with the skeletal vertical, but there's no difference in these outside of their visuals, right? Dozer 90 long barrel, better range and better velocity. Spirit fire suppressor, better range and velocity. So we end up with a 30 meter effective damage range. The drop off really is not that harsh. An 885 velocity, which isn't great, but it's not bad. That's good, not great, right? Then personally, I kind of go back and forth. I've used some optics here, like the NIDAR model 2023 works great. I'm a fan of that, and if you like this optic, go for it. Though the Subverter is really good with his iron sights as well. So if you wanted to drop an optic and put on something like a stock, maybe for some better control or something, if you wanted to put on a high grain to get a better velocity, or high velocity for better velocity, right, you could do so there as well if you're comfortable with those irons. So feel free to mess around with the setup, see what feels the best for you, but certainly a bit of a versatile rifle here, and one that you might not have used in some time that's actually very capable of holding its own. And then lastly here for the assault rifles, again, so many good choices, even between MW2 and MW3 alongside Black Ops 6. Really good Black Ops 6 weapons in specific and options in specific here, but the Cypher is just the most versatile, the most consistent. It is easy, it's got great range and a great TTK, good velocity, it's really aggressive as well for a rifle, so you could build this for sniper support as a main rifle. It's got so many different uses, and all of them are efficient and competitive here. So for the optic, I really like the Oturo Red Dot. I've been using this a lot lately when I've been testing around and playing in game. We got suppressor straight up to keep us off the radar. We don't really need a compensator. If you wanted more control, you could go for it, but this is a pretty easy to use weapon. Reinforced barrel, better range velocity, 972 velocity. We got a 54, almost 55 meter effective damage range. That's fantastic. Ranger foregrip, again, because like I said, not the most difficult option in the world. Getting some horizontal control, not the max, but some plus some mobility, I think is a win-win here. Extended to the max option, 60 with this rate of fire will work just fine. Ergonomic rear grip, better slide to fire and ADS if you find yourself in the close to mid-range. It's obviously going to be advantageous to have that on there. Balanced stock for better movement, so you'll be more aggressive there. Better strafe as well, which is very noticeable, just makes your gunfights a little bit more versatile. Then also recoil springs, makes the gun even easier across the board too. So fantastic rifle choice. Quite frankly, between all these categories, like I said at the start, we've got so many good options. A little bit of something for everyone here. If you enjoyed the video, you found it helpful, be sure to drop a like on it. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But that's going to do it for this one. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.